young entrepreneurs as they build new companies. Joining me to my left are 4 venture capitalists that were mentors to this class of entrepreneurs and follow their progress throughout the show. They are Roger Ehrenberg, Gary Vaynerchuk, Brad Feld, and Fred Wilson. As mentors, they certainly gave our CEOs a bit of a reality check. In any boot camp, there's always some tough love. So let's take a look.
I hated all of it. It's the name I've ever heard in my life.
People will use this, and then they won't use it.
Why do they care? What extra value are they getting? Are they getting a discount? Is that their value?
I hate it. Sounds stupid.
Then it becomes an afterthought.
The technology's whizzy, but that's
To
it.
me, is that you're wasting, not showing me what the product was.
The world is littered with video companies that have gone sport.
You tell a mildly confusing story.
The logo, the color scheme, it feels like I'm going to like the dentist and I'm scared.
So clearly some tough love here. Brad, there was tough love, but where did you feel that your advice was taken the most?
I think one of the things that we assert very strongly is that we're just providing data. So what you saw up there was all data. And I think the most important thing for the entrepreneurs to learn as they go through the program is to make their own decisions about what the data is. And so it's kind of, to be a great mentor, there's kind of this abstraction of recognizing that you don't need your advice to be taken.
So it was okay if they didn't follow your
Totally
advice.
fine. It's their choice to make. But that also encourages you as a mentor to make your advice very direct and very clear, because your view is if they can't take it, that's too bad.
Fred, what about you? Where did you think your advice had the most impact?
You know, I found myself doing more cheerleading. I really wanted to see the Shelby team make it through the pivot and come out on the backside and get funding. And so I really tried to, bond with them and, encourage them. And I think it was helpful in that regard.
I want to get back to the CEOs. I want to focus on Jason Sosa of Immersive. Now, we saw in the program that you had some money and trust issues. How did you bring it all together for a demo day and make your pitch?
It was a difficult time for our family during that time, for sure. But I'm incredibly grateful for their sacrifice. And I think as a team, we looked at what we had as far as technology. We were really excited about what we were doing. We got our pitch together, and we went up there and gave it our all.
So how's Immersive doing now then?
We're fantastic. We've raised $1 million in funding. Since we built our team, I sold my previous startup actually during this last summer. And we are launching with RMG Networks in Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco this fall. So it's really good.
Clearly you're keeping busy. Now, one of your former co-founders, Alessio Signorini, is here in the audience. He's there in the checkered shirt. What are you doing now, Alessio?
Exploring some new ideas, working on some tech startups, right, and so very nice. Exploring new ideas, today.
And why did you leave Immersive?
Relationships work, some don't. The best marriages sometimes have trouble, or one didn't. We're living together 24 hours a day, we are working together, eating together. After a while, it took us 3 months to decide that we were not the right fit for each other.
Well, and Jason, I mean, the fact of the matter is that, your team broke up, right? But you still managed, as you just said, to raise $1 million. So how did you then keep it together? Because you lost key talent.
Yeah, and during that time period, you really kind of look at, it's a difficult road, but the things you have to dig down, really deep to keep going forward. And I had amazing investors, amazing mentors. I reached out to David Cohen, and he said, you put so much into this, just keep going. And people will believe in you. And fortunately, I'm incredibly fortunate to have an amazing family and amazing investors, and we were able to pull it off. So it's fantastic.
I know your family's here now in New York with you, right?
Yeah, we're living in New York, and everything is awesome.
All right. Resilience is a vital trait in successful entrepreneurs. Another is what mentors often call coachability. I want to take a look at just how much praise it earned Karen, the CEO of Nestio.
The This is what's great about Karen. She gets it and she goes, I would invest in a percentage of her career. I don't know if it's this company, but she's going to get there with something.
It's a new model in the venture
This
business.
has been my pitch for a long time.
They do that in poker. You take a percentage of someone's career earnings and you're trading that with other top players.
I'm in on Karen.
I would take that too.
That is quite a compliment, a percentage of her career earnings. Fred, let me ask you, what is it about Karen that makes you believe in her?
She listens, she's smart, she gets it quickly, you know, she can speak it back to you, you know you're connecting, and it's great to have a conversation like that. You can really move quickly through a lot of things when someone's like that.
Brad, let me ask you this. How important is it for entrepreneurs, for CEOs, to define their problems and communicate them?
I think it's critical both to define it and communicate, but also to understand how to listen and play back not just to mentors and investors, but to all the people that you're working with, sort of what you're hearing and what matters. And the best CEOs synthesize that often sort of out loud and in real time and include everybody in the thought process, because they're not always right with the first thing that they process. And I think it's actually something I saw with many of the entrepreneurs here, sort of over the course of 12 weeks, where you'd start at one place and maybe, you'd see them 2 or 3 weeks later, they were still struggling with something. But then 3 or 4 weeks later, they really internalized it because they heard it enough times, they talked about it, they thought about it. So it's not just the being able to communicate, but being able to process it and being comfortable with yourself and with your team dealing with all the issues.
All right, well, CEOs also must show confidence to make investors feel comfortable about writing those checks. But can it also cross over into arrogance? We saw that early on with Jason Baptiste of OnSwipe. Take a look at that.
This is a CEO that is really hard to get along with. They meet random mentors and they go, that team is f***ing arrogant.
OnSwipe, arrogant. Oh yeah, you think? Holy smokes, arrogant.
We can't stop that, we've tried.
But he gets it.
He seems to be great at what he does.
We have over 6,000 signups. It's actually closer to 7 now. It's exceeding our wildest expectations. People want this. There is a demand there.
You don't want to be impressed, but you are.
Yes.